Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the InCntrl podcast. Today we have a special episode. We've been gone for a while. You can see why when you look at some of our profiles. We got that hobo look going on. It's been a while, but it's E3 season, so we had to come through with some predictions and thoughts and all of that. And we got a special panel today. I'll start off with Daniel, man. How you doing, bro?
I'm good, you guys. It's been a minute. I can see, adulting's taking its toll on us. But
how's everything going with you, man? How have you been coping?
Good. Coping. The good thing about being a semi-recluse nerd is that when this whole COVID stuff hit me, I was just like, what? It's bad to be at home all the time. News to a brother. No. But it's been good. We've been managing. It's been trying, but we stay moving, we stay working.
Nice. And Dennis, man, welcome back. We haven't had you for a while, I think, but I mean, we haven't been on for a while, but it's good to see you, bro. How's everything going with you? How are you surviving?
Everything's been pretty good, man. Just a few moves, moved town and stuff like that. And a lot's changed since I was last on. Actually published writer now, so that's awesome. The pandemic stuff obviously was not great, especially for like Nero stuff. We haven't had any like proper big events in a while. That's for me, that's the biggest bad thing. But we're trudging along.
Okay, nice one. And of course, Alun, how you doing, man? It's been a while since we last won.
Yeah, man, not much. Just work, sleep, yeah. Trying to make that money to try and get these next gen consoles myself. So just the usual grind.
Find one.
Yeah, if you can find one.
Whole other story.
So guys, this is a special E3 episode. So I mean, we'll start with something that's not exactly directly E3, but it is huge news in gaming because Sony aren't taking part, but they are very active in terms of news that's coming out. So I want to first talk about Horizon Zero Dawn. I'm sure we all saw the gameplay that they released at the State of Play. I just want to get your reactions. Dennis, what do you think about that, the gameplay trailer and everything you've seen so far?
First of all, let me fanboy over Ashley Birch, my wife. I love that she's reprising her role. And then, honestly speaking, the graphics look amazing. They look really, really good. There's moments there where like this has to be some sort of pre-rendered CG thing, but it's not. Like I hope it's not. It looks super, super good. Aloy has an alt, so kudos to that. Give more give more these single player characters ultimates, That's awesome. It looks really, really good. Like visually, it looks like they responded to the criticisms they had, because that game came out with Breath of the Wild, like I think a week apart, and you couldn't like climb any cliff. They added a glider. That was the first thing, and I was like, okay, you guys really like took that Breath of the Wild stuff to heart, huh? So it's and the melee combat actually looks much better than Zero Dawn. I really like Zero Dawn like a lot, so I am looking forward to Forbidden West. Just, I guess the only negative is that it's coming to PS4. If you consider that a negative, I hope that it's not gonna gimp the PS5 version, because I would like to see a proper like are the devs able to separate the PS4 version from the PS5 version in terms of optimization, where they fully optimize the PS5 version to properly like squeeze the juice out of it? Or is that going to be too much work on that dev team, where they'll just be like, you know what, it runs at 64K on PS5, on PS4 it runs at 1080, that's fine.
Yeah, and that's actually pretty interesting because we have gotten some news on the actual differences between the PS4 and the PS5 version today, which I'll touch on us a little bit more. I just want to get everyone else's thoughts quickly. Daniel, what are your thoughts about the game or the trailer?
Of course, just like Dennis said, visuals absolutely stunning, man. Like Horizon is one of those games where even when it came out on the PS4, I didn't understand how it ran, and how like those gigantic models had breakable components. And it's also one of the first open world games that had like a large amount of objects that could be shattered. It catches you off guard when you think, oh no, these giant boulders and trees are not going to go down. And then here comes this giant terror blaster thing and just rips everything apart. So visually impressive, gameplay wise. I love the underwater system. It looks stunning for days. However, there was that weird outline on Aloy. I don't know what that was.
I'm
It
so happy
lingered.
when something's not just me.
Oh God. So like I thought in the first shot, it's like light is coming from behind. So it's like the sun. So it makes sense. But it lingers on her the entire time. So it's kind of weird. I guess they're trying to show off the hair. I don't know, because her hair is unbelievably detailed to a fault. But yeah, on the plus sides, visually looks amazing. Gameplay wise looks stunning. I have no idea what they're going to do with the story. The story wasn't like, the most mind-blowing for me. Sorry, guys. It looked like it had twists and turns for the sake of sci-fi twists and turns. They were very far-reaching. Like if you decided to start digging plot holes, I can see you, Dennis. But that story for me, there were some points I was just like, really, guys, really? So I'm curious as to see what the storm is about. Yeah. The little nitpicks for me are the same as Dennis. Like, I don't think they will, like, the game will just be an upscaled PS4 game. That's the sad part. Like, there's no going around that. Whether it will be more enemies on the screen or certain elements that will look better or look worse. The fact is, we'll still be playing a PS4 game on a PlayStation 5 console. And that's where I'm sad, because I know if it was solely PS5, there's things that could have been done that are impossible on the PlayStation 4 due to computational limits and the like. One game that shows this in large amounts is something like Returnal. You can't see Returnal running on previous gen consoles because that thing does crazy stuff in real time. So there's things like that I'm just like a bit bummed out that we won't see anything mind-blowing, but we'll see what they can pull off. But I'm still I always feel that cross-gen games will always hold back the game in some way.
That's really interesting. That's a point you and I actually had a big debate about several months ago. We'll get back into that. Alun, what were your thoughts when you saw the Horizon gameplay?
I love being the guy that always comes to wreck everyone's mood after they, love seeing something. Horizon never did it for me. I bought the game twice. I never finished it twice. I don't know. Maybe also the PC snob in me. I never saw the graphics as a big deal until I got it on PC. I really enjoyed the graphics on PC. But exactly like Daniel said, I even sent Michael a screenshot as I was watching the trailer, the whole hair outline thing. I'm like, I hate it when games do this thing. And I understand why it's there. It's normally for things like specifically because she's swimming and so on. You think back to like even Final Fantasy X, the way that they had the end of Tidus's hair, like you have to do things like that to try and have these background elements. And so funny what Dennis just said. The whole time I was watching it, I was just like, it's like copy paste Breath of the Wild. The whole glider. I even watched an interview today with the devs where they were talking about climb anywhere, do anything. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. At the end of the day, if something is really innovative like Breath of the Wild was, you expect other games to try and emulate the best parts of that. But there were some things that I definitely liked, especially in terms of immersion. I love the fact that rather than all of the edge cliffs painted in yellow, you kind of have to use your machine to see where you can climb and things like that. I think definitely that kind of pulls you into the experience a little bit more. But this is generally not a game that I'm like, oh, I can't wait to see more. Maybe if they show more and like especially gameplay changes, but it's never been a franchise that I've tried. I really, really have, but for me, open world games really have to stand out from the crowds to make me finish them. And this is just not one of them. But I recognize genuinely the fan base that it has, and I can see the appeal. It's just not for me.
Before we go far, just to add on. So apparently that light that we see on her is called a hero light. And it's there for us to, always focus on the character. It's just that in this instance, it was kind of excessive, like a bit too much.
Okay.
It was weird because it has like screen space reflections. So it's like it's reflecting on all the little, so it's like it's super shiny. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I mean, for me, yeah, I mean, I agree with you guys. Again, I want to see more. Today they talked about that there'll be a bigger map, obviously. We've all seen the Breath of the Wild elements that have now added to the game, which I think could be a good thing because you want to have something. I think that was a very good formula that Zelda did. Then they've also said they're enhancing the human combat. So hopefully that can also be a good thing because some people complain that maybe sometimes you want a variety with your combat. Maybe it was better with the machines than with the humans. So I'm glad to hear that there's some improvements, clearly. I mean, just from a visual side, you can see it. My only complaint, I think, was a bit different from you guys. I didn't even notice that light, to be honest. My only thing was I just noticed, and I hope it doesn't become a trend, but it felt like the presentation of the gameplay is very Naughty Dog, like the way that it was she was talking quite often, it felt very, Last of Us,
Dude,
if you've
just
seen.
to add on to what you just said about the talking, at some point I put in the comments like, Aloy, why are you talking to yourself so much?
Yeah.
It was so much.
Yeah. It's actually now, if you look at The Last of Us 1, The Last of Us 2, it's a Naughty Dog Uncharted style when they showcase games, showing that narrative immersion side, and it works for them. But I just hope, like I said, I don't want it to be like every game like that should be shown that way. I did like what I saw.
Two set PC.
Yeah, it would have been nice maybe to see a bit more of the world interaction, like, we break down this bamboo and craft something. Just what I mean, just it's fine, but just I hope not every game feels like the narrative showcase. But anyway, talking about a very important point, you had mentioned the PS4 version. You're talking about going back. That's something that you and I have spoken about quite deeply, Daniel. But there's also been news about God of War being delayed, Ragnarok, and it also being a PS4 game. So, Dennis, what are your thoughts on that?
Man, that's honestly for me, that's a shame because it's like you need at a certain point to like cut off or just like a showcase, like Demon's Souls. To be honest, Demon's Souls looks amazing, and that's a PS5 game. Look at, you don't have to like tell anyone that's a PS5 game. They look at it for like a minute and they're like, that can't run on PS4. And God of War, in my opinion, is their biggest franchise, even bigger than The Last of Us. That's the one that, like, across the board, that's the big, like, let me show you what this is all about. Last of Us feels too Oscar baity, but God of War can, like, you can get everyone with that one. Mm-hmm. And I was hoping that would be the one that would, like, grab everyone. It's their franchise. It's a Sony thing. So that's a bit of a shame. And also in terms of like Daniel mentioned, technical stuff, gameplay stuff. Imagine the improvements God of War would have if they focused fully on like the PS5 stuff, like the Rumble or like its SSD stuff. Like we've seen Ratchet and Clank and how it's like literally loading levels in seconds. Imagine if God of War could like, remember when you'd like load the different worlds in that room? It took a while. Like it was hiding the loading times with the conversations and stuff. That was loading. But
just
imagine
to add
if
on,
just like
before you go far, kid, just to add on to that Ratchet and Clank point, as you can see, like now that we're in this new age, Ratchet and Clank's world loading actually ties into its gameplay. So for God of War, if it will be catering to PS4, it means we won't get those kinds of innovations, which is the thing I don't.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the sad part, is that we may not see those kinds of using that new SSD, using the more RAM that it has. We won't see like more enemies on the screen, stuff like that. We'll lose that. It's probably going to be a better game, most likely will, but it's not going to feel like a technical advancement. So that's sad.
But what do you think changed, Daniel? You remember we had this conversation at that time. Sony had come out and they differentiated themselves from Xbox, saying, look, we believe in generations. We are not going to do that whole switch. So what's changed now?
Money. They have realized that they can make even more money. It's as simple as that. The fact that the PS5 is literally according to their reports, their best-selling console ever. But people still have so many PS4s. I'm sure they have the data on the PlayStation network as to how many active PS4 users there are. And we must be in easily 90 millions, if not to 100. And that attractiveness of it is just too strong. Worse, with the pandemic that hit, means that everyone now is really leaning heavy onto PlayStation Plus and the like, because we have got no choice. So who knows how much, like, I remember last year, Sony reported record earnings on the PlayStation front, and it made profits upon profits upon profits. And who knows how high that's gone into this year with the PS5 selling crazy and probably record PlayStation subscriptions. It's money. That's the only reason I can say that they're, really pushing for people to keep playing these things. And unfortunately, we suffer on new experiences. Will it be bad? Probably not. But I can give you an example. God of War, wow, it was amazing in the previous game. Everyone who's played it can say this with a fact that it kind of ends at a point where you feel like, oh, I thought we're about to get like one more final sequence where it was going to be bigger and would get to the ending. And even when you play the game, it's a very guided adventure, because there's limitations there. They couldn't go beyond that scope because the system was already being pushed above and beyond. Literally, God of War is one of the games which brought the meme of when you run it, your PlayStation turns into a jet plane because you just hear all the fans kick in. So all those things, it's a downside in my opinion, but the money I think is just too attractive for them to let go.
Alun, your thoughts on God of War?
With regards to the delay, I literally said it the day we recorded last year. I'm like, it makes no sense why you would announce this game is coming next year when all that you show at your showcase is a logo. I said, bet money this game is going to be delayed by 1 year. And for sure, here we go. I'm not necessarily mad about that because it's very different. Like I said, it seemed very obvious that was likely going to be the case, as opposed to we've shown 5 trailers and then we're going to delay it by a year. I would be more upset if it went that route. So nobody was expecting whether they were going to announce it or not. So the mere idea that it was going to be a year from when it was announced was going to be a shock nonetheless. Like that's quite huge. Very rarely do games
Seems like Alan's got a glitch. It's delayed. Let's give him a second.
That African internet has
yeah. It seems like man's gone. I'm sure when he gets back. Hold on. Let me just admin this. Let me just hit that mute button. Okay. Oh, he's actually come out. Okay, yeah, so it must have been a proper network problem. Yeah, so we'll wait for him to join us, but I'm sure he touched on, the whole point of, some people did expect this would happen, but it's not like there was a long road. It's not like we were cyberpunked, you know what I mean? So it's not, rage inducing in any way. But it's time for E3. And the reason why I was saying that now is clearly Sony aren't really taking part of E3. They're like that person that says they won't come watch a movie, but then they just come to the mall and hang around. I'm there, but I'm not really there type situation. So
I thought they're pulling a Nintendo where they're going to do their own thing.
It's not, from my knowledge, I don't know if they've announced an official schedule or anything. But like I said, I'm sure we'll still keep seeing the Horizon, so on, like State of Play. They'll just have videos coming out during this.
Oh, yeah.
But it looks like we got Alan back as he joins us. But talking about E3, Dennis, Daniel, keep the two of you. Daniel, you raised the point. You're like, is E3 going to happen? Who's going to be there? And that's why this part of the podcast is important, because yes, E3 is happening, and we will start on the 12th of June with Ubisoft having their conference. Ubisoft are going to have, obviously, updates to the Rainbow Six, which has been doing really well for them. Assassin's Creed DLC was not good. So I'm sure they might find ways to deal with that. But Far Cry 6, that's the big one that they've come out swinging with. Quick thoughts, Dennis. What do you think about that Ubisoft conference the first day?
Yeah, so I looked at my Ubisoft account, and turns out I play a lot of Ubisoft games, man. I play a lot of Ubisoft games. No Assassin's Creed this year, which I think, in my opinion, is always a good thing because it means the next one is probably going to be good, or a big change, like a big shift. Hopefully, they pull an Assassin's Creed. Follow me here. With the Prince of Persia thing, where maybe they iterate so much, they're like, you know what, maybe Valhalla is the last AC, and we've iterated so much that we're just making a new franchise out of this weird game we made. Hopefully that's what happens. I think it's time to lay this legendary game to rest, this legendary franchise. It's run its course, in my opinion, as an IP. So there's that. I am Far Cry, man, I like Far Cry. I like the franchise. My favorite is 3, mostly because of Bass and the gameplay elements they added. And it feels to me like they've been chasing that Bass high for so long. Pagan Min was pretty good. He was interesting, you know. I didn't play much of 5. I know that guy was supposed to be David Koresh, like people who played 5 like him. I think having Esposito is definitely going to be like, that guy has never had, like, even in his bad movies, like the movies are bad, but his performance is good. You know what I mean? So like he's definitely going to carry that franchise. I found it very interesting that the creative director came out and was like, actually our game is political, which was, in my opinion, not necessary because they all are, whatever. But yeah, it's gameplay wise, it looks like Just Cause, you know, like with the CD thing, like weird weapon stuff. So I'm like, are you mishmashing your franchises? But I guess Far Cry has always been kind of weird and wacky. So that's yeah. I hope there's a surprise. Ubisoft kind of always have like that one last game. I hope there's something.
Is it Beyond Good and Evil 2 as well? We haven't really seen anything from that.
Hey, is that ever coming out? That game is too big.
It's gonna come out. Yeah, the creator Michel Ancel left because of, as my podcast co-host said, being a bad boss. There were, you know, remember the allegations at Ubisoft? He was one of those people. So he left before the stuff hit him, and he was in charge of Beyond Good and Evil 2. He was in charge of Rayman, so we might not see those for many years.
All right. Daniel, your thoughts on Ubisoft?
Unfortunately, Ubisoft games in the past few years for me have become too samey. They're like Activision, and then they release the same game every other year. So, like Dennis, I love Far Cry 3. I am a huge stan for Far Cry 2 and 3. Had so much fun with them. I played Far Cry Primal, had a gas with it. I loved the ideas inside it. One of the best implementations of first-person melee I've ever played. Like the spear throwing was great. Spear combat was nice. After that, they're digging too hard towards the whole always being controversial and weird and always having this odd, like it's the same, like Dennis said, they're chasing that lightning in a bottle over and over again. And it's become very samey and it's kind of boring. Like you see a new Far Cry game and you kind of know what you're going to get. There's like nothing new there. Yeah, you're not going to be surprised. You have a general idea. We'll have to go to outposts. We'll have to fight the Ubisoft map of icons, and maybe the story will be great and you enjoy it. But if the story doesn't carry you, then you might enjoy the gameplay and that will carry you. But otherwise, if those two are not there for you, it's just the same game in just a different setting on a new map. So for me, not really excited. They had that game that came out recently, something Felix, the one that looked like Breath of the Wild with DMC combat.
Oh, yes.
The one where you're little...
For like the Greek gods and things.
Yes. I remember when they initially announced that, I was very excited, but I was so disappointed that it came out to be a clone. So for me, Ubi haven't come up with an original thing in a while. So I hope they surprise me, but I'm not putting my hopes up at all.
Alun, Ubisoft conference, June 12th. What are your thoughts?
For me, the only two games that I would have spoken about were Far Cry 6 and Beyond Good and Evil, but as we've just touched on, I don't expect anything from that. Daniel's very right in terms of like, you know what you're going to get from this Far Cry. You know the elements that are going to be there, which is not only part of this franchise, but also really just most open world games. Liberate the Outpost, or what, like almost every open world game does that. But Far Cry in particular, like that's one of the longest running for doing those types of mechanics alongside Assassin's Creed. However, I am somewhat excited for it, not only for the villain. I think, where Far Cry 3 and 4 tried to be more wacky and zany and over the top with their villain, almost Joker-esque. I enjoyed the antagonist from 5. It was a bit more calm and a bit more sociopathic, just like a subtle madness to it. And I feel that, we're going to get the same sort of thing here. I mean, I just imagine seeing a return to form like Breaking Bad type of villain. Like that's what I'm expecting to see here. And I really actually enjoyed a lot of the really over the top elements that they showed, like the CD gun and stuff like that. I was getting like, in terms of what the hell is that? Very reminiscent of like Half-Life 2 to me. Like just seeing things like, I like the implementation that you're showcasing here. However, we'll have to see when it comes out how good it actually does those things. Like how they even said you get to customize your car. We've seen games where you customize your car before and it doesn't really amount to much. So it depends how they actually implement those things, crafting your guns and stuff like that, really creating these unique sorts of things. So hopefully if it goes well, I'll enjoy it. Otherwise, if those things don't hold out, then the Far Cry formula will have me playing for 5 hours and then I'm done.
Okay. Moving on. I think we've all got a good shake of June 12th. What about June 13th? June 13th is a special day because...
Whoa!
What?
The network has even died.
What happened? What happened?
You hyped it too hard. The bandwidth collapsed.
Anyway.
Microsoft reacted, man.
June 13th is a very exciting day because we will have Square Enix conference and we could see a lot of Final Fantasy this time around.
Final Fantasy 16.
Final Fantasy 16, Final Fantasy 7. Hopefully there's news on the second part, but most likely I think they'll be promoting the current PS5 version. Final Fantasy 14 as well have its biggest update. I think it's story-wise, Dennis will know.
Best FF game.
Then a Marvel game, of course. I mean, how they're gonna deal with that flop of a game? Are they gonna add something to it, change something? And then finally, there's also the rumors about also the new IPs. There's a PS5 exclusive that was named earlier this year. I can't remember what they called it. It was the one with the female protagonist. And then there's another game that might be in the works where it's about a Dark Souls game in the Final Fantasy universe. So if we do get content, Square Enix's conference could be very entertaining for Final Fantasy fans. And I don't know which one is the bigger Final Fantasy fan here. So I'll let either of you start on Square.
We'll go alphabetical order. Alun.
Yeah, there's a franchise near and dear to my heart. I literally had to make an agreement with my girlfriend that I wouldn't play Final Fantasy 9 again for the next couple of years because it's almost a yearly tradition at this point. So yeah, I think the most important thing for me is the Final Fantasy VII Remake. I think they're fluffing it out too much. They really need to buckle down, identify how many parts they're going to have, when those parts are going to be released, rather than having, this whole glorified Yuffie expansion, having the one where it's kind of like what's this, Battle Royale for Final Fantasy VII. Like, I'm not one for those sorts of things. So definitely I want to see when part 2 is coming out, as well as information on when it will be on PC and Xbox platforms. I'm curious about I believe the leak suggested would be Final Fantasy Origins, the Souls-like version. But again, I don't want any type of thing that would detract from them actually finishing what they've already started. Definitely looking forward to what 16 actually has. I think the setting has potential for a very darker vibe. You know, Final Fantasy Tactics, not to say Tactics meets Game of Thrones. It was Game of Thrones before Game of Thrones, like it was already pretty dark. But hopefully if it goes down that sort of line, I'd be very interested in seeing that sort of story. But particularly the gameplay is what needs to sway me. Because if it continues like I was looking last year, too Devil May Cry like, I wouldn't be too happy about that. Hopefully they have learned from 15 to 7 that you do need to have your RPG elements. You do need to have your deep magic systems and things like that. And we will see that. So it's just one of those. I'm just going to have to sit, watch through it and hope for the best, really.
Daniel, what are your thoughts on this
Yeah.
Final Fantasy Fiesta?
Me, I'm very excited. Like, firstly, Final Fantasy 16 is being directed by my man Naoki Yoshida. I hope I got that correct. But the director of Final Fantasy 14, basically. And that man is a genius at carrying story. Like, he's kept us entertained for the past going on 10 years now, 8 years to be specific, in FF14. Never disappointed me. Every year, he just steps the game up higher and higher and higher. And to have his team take up the reins for 16 gives me a lot of hope. So I'm excited. But like Alan said, the combat system, FF-ish, man, outside of 7 and Crisis Core, the real-time combat systems have been very shaky. Like, I had always hoped that they would have built from Final Fantasy 12 and built on that type of ATB system, but they decided to experiment with 13, and then they went all sorts of funny ways with Final Fantasy 15. So I don't know. We'll see what the combat gives us. It better just not be too actiony, and we better have some room to strategize and just have fun with it. Final Fantasy 7 Remake, may have played that game like a million times, the original one. I beat all the super weapons the wrong way. Like, that game was so good. You could do stuff in the many messed up orders, and you would, as long as you just thought about it deeply and you understood the system. And the new one frustrated me with padding. And if there's one thing Square Enix are not great at, it's padding in their games. Theirs is super obvious. Like, you will be playing and you'll be like, I have zero interest as to what this is. And you're just making me run across this place to, you know, meet your 40-hour time mark because RPG purists want that. And it frustrates me because one of the excuses that they used to give a long time ago with regards to why 7 never got a remake was that remaking the game one for one would be too large of a project. And yet here they are packing Midgar with so much unnecessary side fluff that is really not, you know, it's not really that interesting. It's not a core part of the story, but it's just been packed in, and the changes they've made, which, man, I am not a fan of in regards. But yeah, I hope they don't space this out over 3 games, because they really don't need to. If they were able to stuff that much into Midgar, they can easily brush over a lot, because they already pulled in so many plot points that you get just when you leave Midgar that are supposed to be introduced then. And, you know, they can just make a maybe 60-hour game, and we would have the 2-part Final Fantasy VII remake and be done with it. But
it's going to be 4 parts, man.
They're going to milk it. See, even Alan knows. I'm looking forward to Origins, because Warrior of Light is the perfect fit for a Dark Souls-like game. The only thing is that I'm worried about its scale and how it would be small, because you know, sometimes these guys, when they get the new, when they want to try a new side game, Square Enix don't know how to make a small game feel big. Their small games feel very small. So we'll see how they do with that. You'll find that they'll release Origins, everyone will love it, then they'll release a second one that's just bloated and too large, it will flop, then they'll be like, oh no, no one wanted this, and never do it again. So fingers crossed they have a good director, they get it right. But overall, super excited. And of course, there's Endwalker for Final Fantasy 14. Can't wait for that. Like,
amazing sound. The song for Endwalker was really lit. That made me. I watched the trailer a couple of times.
The music, man.
Dennis, your thoughts, man, on all this Square Enix Final Fantasy hoopla?
I'm actually a big Square Enix fan as well.
Mhm.
I I am hoping that 16 is not too. I like Final Fantasy 12, but the evil is stuff. I felt like, like when like your friends like, oh man, watch this TV show, and then you're watching it with them, and they're on like season 2, episode 4, and it's like, it's fine, bro. This is where it's good. And I'm like, but I don't understand what's going on. That's what the evil is stuff feels like to me. The Final Fantasy Tactics world
Mhm.
feels like to me. So I hope that 16, because I can recognize that language, the evil is like you look at it once, you're like, this is evil stuff. It definitely is in the tactics world. And I know that the fans of that world are like, just continue the story, man. It's lit. And then someone like me is like, bro, I don't know what's happening. So I hope it's cool for newcomers. But I'm very, very excited for that because that director is like extremely competent and very passionate about his projects. I am very, very much looking forward to Forspoken. That's that new IP with the
Yes.
female protagonist.
Mhm.
The traversal looks cool. It looks cool, man. It looks new. It looks like a PS5. So that's very interesting to me. Yeah, like that's mostly what I'm looking for from Square Enix. I actually am a big fan of Square Enix European stuff. Legacy of Kain remake, just something, man. Give me something.
Okay.
It's never gonna happen, sadly.
I would like to see maybe because I know that they're working on Avengers, but I know they have a single player team. Eidos Montreal. Are they giving us a new Thief game? I love the Thief games. Are they giving us Deus Ex 3? Are they giving us, a new Tomb Raider? I want to know what that's. So yeah.
Speaking of stuff that would like to see, do you know what I'd like to see from Square Enix? Usage of their other IPs outside of Final Fantasy, the Enix IPs. Like, I don't even know. It's like Valkyrie profiles. Like, guys, we're still waiting on the Hearst story. Like, my God, they have so many great IPs on the Enix side that have just disappeared. Saga, Frontier, man.
No, what's that one with the stars? What's that game? I forget. It was anyway, I won't get that one. But anyway, now we go on to the later on the 13th of June, we got the Big Daddy, the biggest show of E3. The tag team Brothers of Destruction Xbox Bethesda conference. Now this, for me, I can't even hold back. This is gonna be make or break. This is gonna be monumental. This is the highlight of this conference. Xbox Bethesda, tons and tons of games that we want to see. Exclusives, what's happened with Halo, Starfield, we're sure we're gonna see Starfield. Get more details. If you might sprinkle in an Avowed, people will be happy. Forza, of course, Everwild. And then Game Pass, which has been growing exponentially, might have some big third-party announcements, of course. And then lastly, this is the one game that I always say that Elder Scrolls is a bit too far. There's the one game where I'm just like, I always throw it out there because I have a feeling that some way, somehow, it's waiting to destroy, the internet, which is Elden Ring. If we do see anything to do with that game, that would be madness. Dennis, what do you think? Xbox Bethesda conference. What are you excited for? What you gonna look forward to?
This is the conference I'm most excited for. I am an extremely big Halo fan. I loved what I saw last time. If they are improving stuff, that's even like blowing my mind. That announcement that they made, they're like, from the jump, this is cross-play, like cross everything, like saves, multiplayer, co-op, whatever. Like your friends playing on a tablet, streaming. You can be playing on streaming through your smart TV, through a PlayStation 5, whatever. If it has a screen and you can access Xbox, you can play with someone. That's awesome. I'm looking forward to what Bethesda are gonna do. Avowed, I'm curious about Avowed, right? Like Obsidian, are they making a big AAA RPG 60 hour, or are they making like a 20-hour RPG? If they're making like a 20-hour RPG like their previous game, I forget what it was called.
Outer Worlds.
Outer Worlds.
Mm-hmm.
If they're making an Outer Worlds style game, we could see it at this E3. If not, then I don't think we're going to see anything from that. Starfield, I am certain Starfield is releasing this year. I am so certain Starfield is releasing this year. So we're definitely going to see that. I don't think we'll see anything from Elder Scrolls.
Yeah.
I hope we see a teaser for Fable, like we saw just a small teaser, man, even 1 minute. I don't care. Just like a random bad English joke. That's fine. I want to see that. And maybe anything new, man. Like they've got so many other studios that they have. Maybe the teaser from the In Exile studio.
Yeah.
Like
and the initiative as well with was it Perfect Dark?
Yes. Oh my goodness, Perfect Dark. What is what are they? Yeah. What is Perfect Dark in 2021? Right? Because I played Perfect Dark, the 64 game. I played the original Xbox One as well. So it's like, what is that game right now? Like, is it still first person? Are they going to make it an immersive sim? Are they going to make it a Call of Duty-esque bombastic shooter? I'm very curious what they'll do with that. Either way, I'm a big Cyberpunk fan, so more Cyberpunk video games. Like, you can give me a trashy Cyberpunk game, I'm all over that. So yeah, man, Microsoft is going to be.
You know about Ascent is another good one that might be. I'm keeping an eye on the Cyberpunk theme. Yeah, that game should be coming out in June. Yeah.
Yeah, and obviously, this one very personal to me. The crap. How can I forget its name? Daniel, the Senua.
Oh, okay. Wow.
That game really touched me on an extremely personal level. What I want from it, I know not nobody. It doesn't make sense for them to make what I want. I want it to be another personal 6-hour, just very emotional game. I don't think that makes sense because it has traction now. What they probably should do to make more money is to make it a big Devil May Cry style game. Like, that's the obvious thing to do, right? Which is fine. I mean, that's okay. It's still gonna be fine. But what would really please me is if it's another very personal game. So yeah.
I think they could make it if they leaned towards the more Dark Soulsy type of thing, but with the story and mindset. Because Dark Souls is big, broad, and thingy, but the pacing is actually very slow. If you think about it, you go through these huge areas of not meeting anything, and the combat is very deliberate to match Senua's style, not super bombastic. So if they lean towards that sort of pacing, I think there's opportunity to be bigger and tell the story even better, but also, keep it very close to what it was initially. So don't fret. I don't think everyone's going the DMC route just yet.
and on that, Daniel, what are your thoughts on this monster?
All the RPGs, man, I want release dates. I don't even care about announcements. I just want the games to come out. Like, I'm tired of having, being baited and tickled. Starfield, I really want to see some gameplay. Aren't we still just at the logo stage, even up to this day?
It's Bethesda, so it could be out.
No. But, now that Microsoft is the big boss and those guys, we may say whatever we want about MS, but Microsoft Studios always release quality. So the day when it was said that Microsoft acquired Bethesda, I was like, yes, finally, someone will be able to test the games for them.
Wow.
I'm just saying, MS games are not known for big buggy. Which game from Microsoft, even with all the craziness and complex systems that Halo has, I've never seen bug montages. They don't happen that often. So for me, that's the quality I wanted. I'm hoping we get to see stuff now that they have got, Papa Microsoft looking down on them and ensuring stuff. I will hope above all hope to see something from Elder Scrolls 6 because I stand the Elder Scrolls games super hard. I'm not big on the first-person games because a first-person game has to be really good to draw me in, especially in terms of gameplay. I got very spoiled by the game with the girl who does the running and stuff. What was that?
Sonnet or Mirror's Edge?
Mirror's Edge. I unfortunately, before I got super into FPS games, the two that I played a lot were Mirror's Edge and Crisis 1. So I was ruined by their very good movement systems. And whenever I'd play another FPS game, I'd be like, why can't I slide? Why can't I run? It just got super frustrating. So I'm looking forward to their third person games more often than not. Hopefully we get new things. But yeah, I'm very excited. And of course, I really want to see what Game Pass has to offer because man, Game Pass is the gift that keeps on giving. I am very curious to see what they have for us, especially on the PC to Xbox merging side, because if they can align that even better, like, that would be so much value.
Yeah. Just a quick one before I go to Alan. Just remembered as well, when you mentioned the girl running, I thought about Dishonored 2, and there's also news that Arcane Studios are also working on a new game, which I know we all expect Deathloop to come, but there's another game called The Oath. So we might see a sneak cinematic, because I don't think it's anywhere close to anything else, but you might see a cinematic trailer to that. Alan, what are your thoughts on the conference?
I mean, Xbox at the point right now where between they and Nintendo can pretty much hold the whole of E3 just by themselves. Like, there's that much potential content for them to go through. The ZeniMax acquisition is, correct me if I'm wrong, it is the biggest media buyout ever. Like, the number of games that come associated with that are huge. And I've been saying it for just over a year now, the amount of praise that needs to be given to Xbox for correcting all of their wrongs. People said the hardware isn't powerful enough. Yeah, here they are with the hardware. Said they didn't have games, they bought studios. We know that they approached people like Sega and Nintendo and have been trying to do some more deals on top of that. But even with all of the studios that they've acquired so far, we still haven't seen everything that they're working on. So there's definitely still a lot of content that hasn't been shown to us yet that has the potential to be seen, and we'll see what everybody's been working on. But for the things that we are aware of, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing the revisions they've made to Halo. Obviously, one of the biggest franchises in history. But when I was watching it last year, it was like, I had quite a few concerns. The graphics, I always worry whenever a game goes open world, how good will the open world mechanics actually be? So definitely looking forward to seeing the strides that they've made. Huge kudos to them for taking the criticisms on board, going back to the drawing board and making sure that they worked on those things. I don't think we'll see anything to do with Fable. I think we might see a little bit of a trailer for Elder Scrolls. I think just for them to kind of like flex, like see what we got sort of a thing, but it won't be anything substantial like gameplay and stuff like that. I highly doubt. I would love to see anything to do with Avowed. That is my most anticipated next-gen game just because of who's making it. I always say that Skyrim was a solid game, but it wasn't what I was expecting after Oblivion. I feel like Avowed could be the spiritual successor to Oblivion, just given their track record, what they did with New Vegas, what they've done with their RPGs, and given that Avowed is based in their already existing franchises, you already know the potential with the story and things like that. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it the most. Excited to see whatever it is that they'll bring, but yeah, I'm just looking forward to seeing the games that haven't been announced yet. Last year they did very well showcasing, the things that they've acquired, the studios, what they're working on, but given both Bethesda and the remaining studios that haven't shown their stuff yet, I think there's a lot of things that might blindside us. So I'm definitely excited for that.
Nice. And then, we're going to wrap up now on the 14th. Still one more day after the 14th. Bear in mind, I skipped the EA one because we don't yet have the official date and time. But on the 14th, we will have Take-Two. We'll have a conference, and Capcom, as well as a few other quick bits. We can be pretty quick over this one, but I just want to highlight really quickly, for me, Capcom are my number one ranked devs right now. Like, these guys are on fire. They're just putting out quality.
They have made no mistakes.
They have made no mistakes. Like they are on fire. And whatever they're gonna bring out more Monster Hunter, whatever it is. Like, yeah, we'll take it up. Thank you so much. You guys are awesome. Yeah, like I am so happy. We always criticize, devs, but it's time to give people flowers as well. So Capcom for me, I'm really happy about. Daniel, your thoughts? Capcom Take-Two.
Like you, I'm a big fan of Capcom. They hit one of the biggest turnarounds ever, starting with Street Fighter. It seemed like from there it was just the way. Like I don't know who was fired and who they made as a new director, but that man has like the winning. When you have the cheat code, that man has like a cheat paper next to him. He's just like, all right, what do people want? All right, Switch Monster Hunter open world, money. All right, expansion, money. All right, Devil May Cry, but here, money. I'm just like, guys, Resident Evil, how? They even created a character who's a meme. You guys, do you know that when you make a meme in this day and age, you've won? Money, it's late. Like, Capcom have just been making all the right moves. And to be honest, it's impressive. I am crossing my fingers against all hope that we get a new Dragon's Dogma, because I feel this would be the right time. And Dragon's Dogma has built this sort of cult following, and with the re-releases and the fact that they keep re-releasing it, meaning it's making money, as our mans from Batista said, the reason we keep re-releasing is because you all keep buying it. So people are clearly buying Dragon's Dogma. So I'm hoping that we get something with regards to that. That's my biggest hope of all. Obviously, a PS5 Monster Hunter to just completely destroy our minds, because that studio does witchcraft. I don't know how they pull it off. And yeah, Take-Two-ish, man. Take-Two, I've got a love-hate for them. On one side, I admire them from a technical perspective of just the way their games are made. It's just to another level. Like, no one does open world like Take-Two and Rockstar. Rockstar is under Take-Two, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Like the studios under Take-Two, they always release like really top of the year and like top of the industry level games. So I'm curious as to what they have next. What I don't want to see is the sports game shenanigans they're going to pull out and whatever monetization crap that they're going to come up with. Because best believe after they give us the E3, they're going to go into some kind of back room and start talking about how to turn gamers into payers or some garbage like that. But we'll see.
In luck, because we might have some GTA 5. I know you've been itching for that GTA 5. We might have that next gen.
No. Oh, you mean you're right.
You've been waiting
to give us dude, GTA Online makes them too much money. It's ridiculous. I don't even understand. Most successful game ever proceeds to have most successful online ever. Like, someone killed someone at a crossroads for this thing. But yeah, no, I'm excited for Capcom. But yeah, Dennis?
They have to show us GTA 6. Like, they have to show us GTA 6. Like, come on. Like, dude, if I see that freaking GTA 5 trailer, I swear to God, I swear.
Admire.
Not yet time, Dennis. We still need a bit more GTA 5.
The new PS5 Oceans.
I was saying this is the first GTA that hasn't had single player DLC at all. It never had any single player DLC at all. So I don't think this is for us. Like, it's by us, I mean single player fan.
Not even
which
close.
I really, really enjoyed the GTA 5 single player. I really, really did. So we can only hope. I just realized I never mentioned, like, Take-Two have the XCOM IP.
Oh my God, yes, they do. Oh, wow.
It's been a while since XCOM 2.
And it's sold on PC.
Yes. So
time to rage at 95% shots at 2 meters distance. Can't wait.
You know what's funny?
They had XCOM? That like cop one. Was it like maybe 2 years back? But it wasn't like a proper XCOM 3 type of thing.
The noir one. Is that the one you're talking about?
No, where it's like it's in a timeline where the aliens have won, and like years later now there's like a police force and things like that. So you actually have specific units that you control, and it's in that police force, like taking down terrorist organizations. And it was a bit more storied. So like rather than you recruiting random recruits, it's like there is one Viper unit, there is one Berserker unit, and they have their own backstories and things to that. I think it's almost like 2 years ago now. It wasn't as well received as XCOM 2. It had its own quirks, but yeah, it's not a proper XCOM 3.
The one I remember was the one that's sort of set in like the 1950s, where you're like noir cops
No,
and
that
stuff
was
like
that was time.
that was way
time
back. Huh?
ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
This
Anyway.
one, like, it even has a cartoony look to it. Like it's got like comic sketches during the cutscenes and things like that.
Dennis, help! Which one is this?
I'm lost. I'm listening to this like I actually.
Are you
wanna
sure
try
this isn't a
now.
mobile
guys,
game,
for real?
Alan? Yeah.
You
this-
even
this
have
one-
full PC. You even have like certain ways that you basically like breach into situations. Like you actually tell them where they're going to come from. So is the snake viper thing going to come through the sewer vents? Is this one going to break through the door? And then you have different perks based on how you start the mission and things like that. Yeah, this is like just under 2 years ago, maybe a year and a half or something like that. But then again,
Rebel
with the way
Cops,
COVID is,
that's
it
what
might
it
be
was?
5 years.
Was it called
I
Rebel
can't remember
Cops?
the full name. I just know I was excited about it. Then the reviews were like 6 and 7, so I left it alone.
No, I think it's called Rebel Cops. I just did like a quick Google search.
I'm surprised you guys like literally have no recollection of this.
Not
Yeah.
at all, man. I never saw anything about this.
Wow.
Yeah.
My one.
That
anecdote
even
about
worries me that
XCOM.
we might not see an XCOM 3 for a while.
My
Dennis,
one anecdote about XCOM is there's a friend of mine who doesn't really play video games, and because he played a bunch of Telltale games and stuff, and then he was like, "Is there anything more kind of in this style, but not very like action heavy?" That and I was like, you know what? Let me give you XCOM. So I gave him XCOM Enemy Unknown, and I was waiting for him to be like. So in the beginning, I told him it's gonna be pretty difficult, but like just stick with it.
Mhm.
And bro, the next week he was sending me XCOM memes. And I was like, I got him. I got
You
him.
got them, boys.
so I think we've all
Yeah.
touched on Take-Two, if I'm not mistaken, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so
So-
finally, the last day we'll have Nintendo as things stand. Sure, you want to talk about if they're not the next Zelda game, Switch Pro, if there's any more Pokemon and stuff like that, So I'll give that over to you, Dennis. Start us up. What are your thoughts on Nintendo? What are you hoping to see?
Man, I want to see the Switch Pro or whatever. Is that even the official name? I don't know. Whatever that new system is.
Mhm.
Apparently, it was supposed to have been shown before E3, but time is a ticking. Like, come on, man, show us what that thing is. Man, is it gonna be? I like that it has DLSS features, but are they going to? Are they going to respect generations? Is it going to cut off? Like what? I'm very curious what they're going to do with that.
Nintendo
What-
stopped respecting generations with the Wii U transition into the Switch. That's done for them. I don't think
Yeah,
they'll do
so-
that.
Yeah, I'm curious what they'll do with that. What level of third-party games will be playable on that thing? Let's say even docked, because we saw what Witcher 3 was like, and what was the other big game? Doom Eternal.
Doom Eternal, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, we saw it was playing at like 520p or whatever. I mean, they
EA
tried,
EA straight up said they're not even wasting their time with the Switch.
I mean, they tried.
Yeah.
It's a shame because like the Switch is doing mad numbers. It's on course to be the highest selling console of all time. So as a third party studio, you're like, man, you gotta get on that. That's numbers, But if it's not powerful enough, that kind of sucks. So you kind of have to make different kinds of games for it. So I'm very curious what the machine will be able to handle.
One thing I've noticed as to why third-party devs, especially the big boys like EA, Take-Two, and them, why they're not super keen on going on the Switch is because from what I've seen, Switch players don't do microtransactions a lot. They don't buy stuff as crazy as Xbox, PlayStation, and PC gamers do. Like Nintendo players get a game, play it, finish it, interact with each other, done. And also, there's the whole parental control thing, which is like super focused on that. So with the way
Switch players they're premium players. Like those guys, they never buy games below $60.
Right? Dude, like 8-year-old games, $60 buy. Anyway. Yeah, for me, Nintendo, I'm just waiting on a new Pokemon game. I'm not even going to pretend. Like that's all there is for me. As much as everyone touted Zelda, and I think it's a masterpiece. The Zelda games have never really been my super cup of tea. I don't know. I always get super distracted and bored, and then I just stop playing them. But Pokemon's, I really hope that that new Pokemon Legends is okay. And if the Switch Pro is coming out, hopefully to run like butter on that, because from the trailer, it was some jank. And also the Pokemon company is not known for making optimized games. Like those guys are terrible at making games. Anyway, fingers crossed we get some good stuff. Oh, Xenoblade. I love that studio and I love the Xenoblade games. Easily some of the best RPGs we've ever gotten, but no one talks about them. Like they're all masterclasses in RPGs. So Xenoblade 3 or whatever game comes out from those guys, I'm very much looking forward to that.
Okay, Alun, Nintendo, shoot.
Yeah, I don't know if it's today or yesterday, but Nintendo has made it very clear that E3 will be games only. But as Dennis says, there are leaks and rumors that there will be a Switch Pro and that it should be announced before. However, if we look at 2 years ago, there were just as strong leaks that we're going to get a Switch Pro alongside the Switch Lite. So it's one of those things where it's like, it might come, it might not. I really, really hope it is. And I think second to the Microsoft conference, it would be my most hype thing to hear, because I have not hopped on the Switch train yet. And especially because like 2 years ago, I was like, there's a Pro coming. So I'm gonna wait for that model. So I've still been on that train, but it's at the point now where if the Pro doesn't come out, like I'm literally buying a Switch in a month. Like I just have too many games I need to play. But yeah, in like with the Pokemon Legends game, like as Daniel says, when we saw the trailer, I mean, you know, the Pokemon Chingling literally moving at like 5 frames a second, very distracting. And if Pokemon Snap is anything to go by, I don't see that improving. I really like the concept of the game. However, it's just a question of how well it will run. And I think definitely a Switch Pro will be something very beneficial. Also, like there's still games that were announced who knows how long ago and yet have still to surface. Bayonetta 3, Metroid Prime 4. So I would definitely like to see specifically Bayonetta 3, because I loved the first game on PlayStation 3. And again, I haven't had a chance to enjoy the second one because I wasn't a member of the Wii U or the Switch crowd just yet. But any more reason for me to enjoy the handheld gaming space, like handheld is quite possibly my second favorite way of gaming right after PC gaming. I just love the convenience of being able to pick up and continue, you know, in the car or wherever else you are. So definitely if they have good games and a Switch Pro, that will shoot it up to the #1 spot. But it really is dependent on whether there's going to be a Switch Pro or not. I think we're at the point now where we've already seen the limit of the system. So we just need to squeeze that little bit of extra juice out for the next 2 years and then wait for whatever is the next gen thing for them.
Okay, cool one. Now we gotta end up the podcast with predictions. You know, it's always fun to make these predictions and then be wildly wrong or wildly right, and then you put it and you put it in the WhatsApp group and you tag Daniel and you say, "You see, I told you, I told you."
Noob.
So who wants to start? Let's go with Dennis first, okay? Dennis, give me 3 predictions. Your 3 predictions for E3.
Predictions. 1, Todd Howard's gonna walk out with a jacket.
Okay.
The jacket is going to be downloadable DLC in Starfield with extra stats.
Okay.
And you guys are going to sell bucket loads that jacket. It's gonna be amazing.
Okay.
That's absolutely happening. I think we're gonna see Metroid Prime 4. I think we will see something of that. We're gonna see Samus, and Samus is going to speak. And that's going to be very controversial again.
These are the ballsy ones.
Man, I'm swinging for them. I think we are going to see Grand Theft Auto 6.
Ha. GTA 6.
So I'm swinging for it, man. Like I am like those are my. I've set the bar high, so you guys better reach it.
Okay, Daniel, let's go. What are your predictions? We got Metroid with Simon speaking. We got Todd Howard with a DLC jacket and GTA 6. What are your predictions, bro?
Guys, it's hard to top Todd Howard DLC Starfield, but I'm going to go with Dennis as well. I predict Starfield it will have MMO aspects, and let's see what other predictions do I have. I think Sony will have a big surprise for us. Some big single player game like that. They'll just use it as a, we're for the gamers type of thing. And yeah, I also predict that we're going to finally get PS Plus on Game Pass. Watch it happen. Watch it happen.
PS Plus on Game Pass.
Yes, because Game Pass has to have everything.
So wait, hold on.
Wait, look. When you get Game Pass, it will come with PS Plus. Watch it.
Okay.
That's my prediction.
Okay.
Or maybe Nintendo service.
All right, let's go. Alun?
I think we are finally going to see that logo reveal for GTA 6. I think we are going to get a bit more of a teaser of Elder Scrolls 6. No gameplay, no nothing. Just like hey, here it
more
is.
Mountains.
We got it. Enjoy yourselves. And I'm really hoping that it won't be on the day, but if the leaks are true, I'm really hoping we will get that Switch Pro. That's the really big one for me. It's time. Like it has to come. Okay. So yeah, GTA 6 announcement, it's coming. Elder Scrolls 6, we got it. It's only ours. And Switch Pro. Yeah.
Okay. My predictions. Game Pass will be on Nintendo.
That might actually happen.
Yeah, that's actually.
Yeah.
You nervous, man. Game Pass.
Hey.
Elden Ring will have a release date. I pray no. Elden Ring release date, Game Pass on Nintendo. And finally, we might see Hideo Kojima at the Xbox conference.
We can dream.
I actually forgot about that. Yeah, that's.
You never know.
They've been chatting.
Can I add a little side one? Konami is going to come out with a single player game. Watch it. Serious, not football. New Metal Gear Solid. Trust. It's going to happen, you guys.
But guys, I want to thank all of you guys. It's been awesome. It's been such a long time. It's been, really hard with what's going on. And, it's fun to have these conversations and catch up and build up this anticipation for E3. I hope we do something, during the course of this time or even after, if we can look back at these predictions. But I just want to thank each of you for coming through. Any last words you want to impart on us, Dennis? Your thoughts?
E3 season, baby. E3 is back. People are like, oh, do we need E3? I don't know. All these articles, maybe we don't need E3. They announce E3 is back and all the journalists are losing their minds. I told you so.
Yes.
Daniel, anything? Last words?
I'm just looking forward to, going through this E3, seeing what happens. And, it's nice to get the hype back again. New gen always brings that hype back. Like, I know we all became very snobbish in the end of the last gen. Yes, we've had the best stuff, but, what we don't need E3. Here we are dying for E3. Like, please, predictions, all the stuff. So, I'm super excited. Can't wait to see what happens. Also, please, for the sake of mankind, no CGI trailers. This is not 2010. We're done. No more.
You said this. You know what's funny? Daniel has said this every year for I don't know how long people watched E3 together for 7 years or something. And I'm like, bro, you need to let it go.
No, look, Unreal right now looks
that will
like
never
CG.
stop.
We don't need CG. Have you guys seen Unreal 5? It's not needed.
No, we're coming. Alun?
Yeah, just as the lads say, I'm very happy E3 is still a thing. We're very worried with Sony pulling back, being out now. Like, is this a trend? And especially with COVID. So very happy that that's not the case. Happy to see it's going strong. It gives us gamers nice thing to feel in the middle of the year. This is our Christmas. This is, like we see the gifts. We don't get to unwrap them just yet, but it's a very wonderful time, and I'm very happy it's here.
Nice. All right, guys. Thanks so much. Appreciate it, man. Hopefully, we do a reaction video after E3. Enjoy yourself. Stay safe. Stay safe from COVID.
You
Cheers,
too,
boys.
buddy. Thanks
Yep.
for having us.
Yep.